Hey everybody, Gabe Suarez, Suarez Tactics. This week I started a bit of a firestorm on social media. I posted basically what amounted to a rifle versus shotgun, which is an interesting concept. I didn't intend it to be, nor did I classify it as one weapon versus the other. I simply want to know, what do you think the advantages of one are over the other? Because clearly there are in certain circumstances. And I put warning, controversy in progress. The number of comments I got was just amazing, astronomical. Many people in agreement with me that the shotgun is a very viable weapon today for the circumstances that the majority of us are going to find themselves in. There were a few guys that said, "Oh, he's just an Elmer Fudd." Me, an Elmer Fudd? Hardly. Maybe I don't know. Others were listing a number of different reasons why they thought the shotgun wasn't any good, and so I addressed those in a subsequent video that I did that was titled "The Arguments Against the Shotgun," and that was also very well received. I put it up on my Patreon, on YouTube, and on Facebook, the three social media venues that I inhabit, and again, very well received, and a lot of people in agreement with me. But they've basically been quiet because usually the rifle people shout them down. But there were a number of people that seemed to comment just based on the title of the video, and it doesn't look like they ever watched the video. That's like waving off a pretty girl that winked at you because you don't know her name. It's silly. Why would you do that? And in any case, so I looked at those comments, and three stood out because I thought I already addressed these, and so I'm gonna mention them again. Okay, maybe with a little bit greater clarity so that there's an understanding. Okay, so the first one was that shotguns are difficult to use. All right, and that they've taken an inordinate amount of time to train. Well, that's just not true. The shotgun is a very simple weapon. It's like a battle axe. There's one way to use it. You bring it up, you bring it down, and then you go to the next guy. The shotgun, the default central skills for using the shotgun, let's see. Number one is mounting the weapon, establishing the push-pull that, that we used to do years ago and now has become popularized. All right. So mounting and working the trigger, which you do that with any firearm, loading the magazine tube, and then, port loading sometimes, or transitioning to pistol, depending on circumstance. So then there's nothing else. That's all. Mounting the weapon, keeping the weapon loaded, and then transitioning to another weapon in case that weapon fails to function in a duress circumstance. That's it. Okay, I can take somebody and bring them up to a respectable level of skill with a 12-gauge shotgun in an afternoon. You can't do that with a carbine. You can't do that with an AR-15. An AR-15 is more complicated and takes more training in order to make it work. Okay, so the rifle is not simpler; it's harder. The shotgun is simpler. All right. I could take an uneducated person that couldn't possibly figure out how to make a rifle work, and I could bring him up to speed on a shotgun. The shotgun is simpler than the AK. All right. So anyway, that's a ridiculous perspective. So we're moving on. Okay. They said it's difficult for smaller people to use. Well, yeah, of course, it is. That there's no doubt about that. Okay. Now, the question is, all right. Look, if you have an academy class of 50 people, all right, and 25 of them are good-sized, combative type individuals, male and female, and the other half are, 100, 110-pound cheerleaders, both male and female, and you're trying to teach them how to run a shotgun, you're not going to have a good time. All right? But then that begs the question, should people that are 100, 110 pounds, male or female, should they be driving a patrol car? Yeah, I said it, and the answer is probably not. So it's not an issue that the shotgun is difficult to teach at the agency level. The question is the hiring practices of that agency. So no, the shotgun is a very, very easy weapon to use. However, it does require muscle. I would think that most people that are listening to me, taking my classes, following me on Patreon, Facebook, and YouTube, they probably spend some time in the weight room. They probably are, of the self-selected warrior class, and not, of the 110, 105-pound individuals. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. If I had people like that, I'd say no, don't bother with a shotgun. Or something I'm going to mention in the video, downgrade to a 20 gauge. Okay, 20 is plenty. All right. I don't think anybody's going to argue if you shoot them in the face from 10 feet away with a 20 gauge shotgun. The problem is you can't do that at the agency level because you're giving Sally over here a 20 gauge, which is less than a 12. Well, that's not good. It's going to make her feel upset. It's going to make her feel less, and all of that nonsense. Okay. The next thing was, pump shotguns are unreliable and prone to user error. Son, that's a training issue above everything else. But having said that, did I at any point say that we're limiting the discussion to pump action shotguns? No, I did not. My personal shotgun that I am using most of the time now is a Beretta A300, which I think is the epitome of shotgun development. That and its more expensive sister, the 1301. The Beretta and the Benelli shotgun lines lead the charge on all shotgun production. Yes, my friends, the Italians have beat the Americans in terms of shotgun development. Okay, there are no high quality semi-auto shotguns made in the U.S. Even the Mossberg. Mossberg can't hold a candle to the Beretta. Sorry, guys, it's just a fact. Okay, so that's what I'm referring to. Now those weapons, the Beretta line, they are so low recoil that it's. I mean, you know what? I bet I could take most people that are afraid of shotguns and bring them up to speed on a Beretta with reduced recoil ammunition in no time. Okay, so no, they're not unreliable. They're just as reliable as any other firearm. All right, do they take some maintenance? Yeah, everything does. What doesn't? You change the brakes on your car periodically. You change the oil. Everything requires maintenance. All right. Then there was the issue. Somebody brought up the issue of capacity, which is again, that horse is dead, the skeleton is dried, and all that business. Capacity. It said, if there is a home invasion of 6 or 7 people, okay. Here's what I'm going to say. Before we go any further down that rabbit hole, what I want you to do, sir, is I want you to find me the case. All right. I imagine there's been a police investigation on something like this. Find me the case, including the DR number, of the home invasion that had so many participants that the poor hapless home defender ran out of ammunition in his shotgun. Now, I'm going to say most shotguns hold, let's say, 8 rounds. So the event went beyond 8 rounds, and the poor hapless homeowner was overtaken by the nefarious invaders because he just simply ran out of ammunition. Okay, show me the case. Seriously, I'll wait until you show me the case. Now I'm going to continue with the video because otherwise this video is going to go on forever because you're not going to find a case. Look, I as I mentioned in the other video, I have connections in the law enforcement world, the administrative world, command world, and I ask some questions. Okay, tell me, what are the number of rounds that have been fired by law enforcement? Okay, so the most number of rounds fired by rifle, fired by shotgun. Okay, so the most number of rounds in recent years was 13 by law enforcement with an AR-15. 13 rounds, and I asked, okay, well that's interesting. Tell me about it. And he kind of looked around, and he said, well, that was my agency, and a lot of those were panic fire. Okay, there were only like 2 rounds that were actually telling rounds. Okay, so now look, panic fire, I can't help. That's an operator issue. It's not a degradation of the weapon system. Okay, that's that needs to be trained in mindset and other areas. But yeah, 13 rounds. Okay, only 2 of them were telling rounds. Okay, how about shotguns? Tell me about shotguns. 3 rounds, and that basically mirrors my own experience. The most rounds I ever fired from a shotgun was 3. And I said, well, tell me about those 3 rounds. They all worked. Oh, how about that? Okay, so 3 rounds worked, 3 rounds were fired. Amazing. Okay, so look, um, in America, okay, excluding direct action by a team against terrorists or something like the stuff you see on TV, but real world, real people, okay, you're not going to exceed the capacity of your pistol. You're not going to exceed the capacity of your shotgun. Okay, might you? Sure, anything's possible, but unless you live in Fallujah, in which case, move. Okay, do whatever you can to get out of there. Okay, take another job, go sell drugs, do something to generate some money so you don't have to live in Fallujah. Okay, the rest of us don't have to do that, and so we don't have to walk around the house with a chest rig full of M4 magazines. Okay, we just don't have to do that. All right, so understand the capacity thing is a myth promulgated by shotgun instructors in the U.S. that create these voluminous round count drills to keep their students entertained because they have to fill a 3-day class with something. And, they don't have a lot to teach. They don't understand an iota about tactics. If they were just to teach the material that a shotgunner would need, it would take them a day and a half, okay? And so they fill up the rest of the time with mindless drills so people think, oh my God, what a great class. We went through 1,000 rounds of buckshot. Yeah, but you didn't learn anything you couldn't have learned in a day and a half, okay? So the round count thing is a myth. Forget about that stuff, okay? All right, the last one, which was really interesting, was, well, in a hostage situation, okay, all right, let's talk about this. Now, I believe it was a year and a half ago or so, there was a deputy in San Diego that shot a hostage taker with a shotgun. Okay, and I think there's a video of it on YouTube. It's a fantastic video, the kind of stuff that we wish we were in, right? And I think he fired like 10 feet away, something like that. Now, with the ammunition that I suggest that you use, that I mentioned earlier, something along the lines of, federal, flight control, 8 pellet, reduced recoil, that will hold a fist-sized group out to about 15 yards, okay? A fist-sized group. Okay, now a fist is smaller than a face, okay? So can you take a hostage shot with a modern shotgun and modern ammunition? Absolutely you can. Absolutely, no problem. Now, if the hostage is 50 yards away, that's a different story, okay? But I bet there are very few people that can make that shot with a pistol and very few people can make that shot with a rifle, okay? Now, the thing is, how do you prevail in a hostage situation? You don't do it based on marksmanship. It's not like on the flat range where all you have to do is shoot a little target that's covered up by a bigger target. No, it has to do with tactics, maneuver, and timing, okay? Then you can get away with all kinds of stuff. So listen, don't let this virus of ignorant knowledge. That's a term that somebody used, and I think it's a fantastic term, and I'm going to keep using it. Ignorant knowledge. It's knowledge based on ignorance, knowledge that is gained from flat range training that has no bearing in the real world. Okay? Don't let that mentality creep in on your work and forestall and short circuit your preparation for the street. The shotgun is a fantastic and destructive weapon, and I would hope that you would keep an open mind about it as I continued through this journey until I bring my shotgun gunfighting video out. It's going to be earth-shattering, and it's going to change a lot of minds about shotguns.